Good morning, guys. I miss you all so much, but I'm so excited to be starting this new unit with you. So we are going to be starting a new unit on, you guessed it, time. Now, in third grade, there's a couple of things that we need to know how to do. One, we need to know how to tell time to the nearest minute. And two, we need to know how to figure out how much time has passed between 2 points. Now, sometimes they may not even give you both of those points, and we'll look at that in some other videos. But before we can work on elapsed time, we have to make sure that we know how to tell time to the nearest minute. Now, you guys have already learned how to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes, but I want us to review that a little bit now. Now, this clock is meant for school, so it has the minutes skip counting around the clock. We can see that as we go around, it goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, because there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. And once I get up there, I've gone a whole hour. But normal clocks are not going to have those on there. So we do have to remember that on an analog clock, which is this kind of a clock, it doesn't have the numbers there for you. You have to figure out what the minutes are. This clock is not always going to have those 5-minute marks labeled. So we're going to practice first how to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes again. So let's say that my clock, remember, by the way, when you start up at the 3 o'clock hour, as your minute hand is traveling to 4 o'clock, you'll notice that your hour hand is moving too. It's getting closer and closer to 4 o'clock, which is why it's tricky when you see a time like this, which is 3:50. It looks almost like 4:50, but we know that the hour hand is moving the whole time that we're moving around the clock, which means that if my time was 4:50, I would be almost at 5 o'clock. But this time is 4 o'clock because it's 3:50, right? If I was to go up just a little bit more, I'd just be at 4 o'clock, right? So let's take a look now at this time. Okay, so we see that we're in between 4 and 5 o'clock. So our hour hand is on 4, but it's 4 something. We need to figure out how many minutes have passed. So because it's right on one of those numbers, the number 7, we can just skip count by 5s to figure out what time it is, starting up here at o'clock, right? And then we can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So the time is 4:35. Now, in third grade, the only difference is that now we can start getting down to the exact minute. The concept is still the same. We will have to skip count by 5s for part of it, because it wouldn't make sense to sit here and count all the little tiny minute marks. If I was to sit here and count all the tiny dots that you see on here, or sometimes your clock might have like tick marks, I would get 60. Each of these represents a minute. And once I get up to 5 of them, we get these big red numbers here. So for example, if my clock was here, we see it's not right on the 8. It's a little bit after. I still am going to skip count by 5s until I get to the 8, but then I'm going to have to count on just minutes. So starting up here at, we're still in between 4 and 5 o'clock, so it's going to be 4 something. Let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. But now we're going to have to count by 1s to figure out how many more minutes we have. So here's 40, 41, 42. So the time is 4:42. This time when I put my time on the clock, I want for you to pause the video and try to figure out what the time is before I explain it. So here I am, I'm in the 11 o'clock hour. And let's find, look, it almost looks like it's 12, but it's not. That's just because we're at the very end of the 11 o'clock hour. So here's your clock. I want you to pause it and figure out what time it is. All right, hopefully you paused it and you tried it yourself. So we're in the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to skip count by 5s first. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And then it just goes 1 more minute to 51. So this is going to be extremely important when we start talking about elapsed time. There is a great brain pop on telling time to the nearest minute. There, I believe, is some on USA Test Prep that's going to help you with this as well. So you guys can watch those too and make sure that you understand how to tell time to the nearest minute. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and